who have incredible gifts, yet have been blocked, limited, or wounded. We serve with our angelic team to remove interference so they may heal their wounds and allow themselves to recover, or rediscover their powerful abilities. We are just being so blessed to have these special people who are on a mission to save humanity in their own unique way. When we open our mind to possibilities and let go of those old patterns of expectation, we allow ourselves to expand and embrace new awareness. Our Archangel Azrael even told us, the more you think you know, the less likely you are able to learn. When you understand how little you know, you are willing to accept new information. Let's open our minds and celebrate those who have both the gift of inner sight and are courageous enough to act on what they hold true deep in their hearts. As we work to shift the broken and awaken our inner resources, we herald a time of great awakening for an amazing future for humanity. Today, I'm delighted to shine the light on an extraordinary bright light warrior today. KatieRaine is an amazingly awakened individual who brings incredible new information to our world. In addition to being a skilled earthly pilot, she's also a future plasma ship pilot. In addition, she embraces the spirit of an ancient Huna, working with her guided team to connect with the life force energy of our beloved Gaia. They clear the darkness, creating a positive energy path to welcome a new Stargate system. Get ready for a fascinating discussion as Katie shares her incredible story, traveling to fulfill her mission of bringing our world into a new generation of awareness. She will gently, peacefully, and knowingly help to open your mind to greater recognition of what you may already know deep inside.
Always give what you can, even if your allies draw lines in the sand and dig. Always dig a little deeper. Sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper. Love, so you let love in. Baby, I am home in the wake of your skin, and it's crazy how we wear a ceremony. Always be open to your path and your journey. Yes, she cradles my loneliness, a home in a forest nest. Universal test, feel the weight of my love. Put your hand on my chest and rest. In the cradle of my arms, the battle that we face is a place where our scars come from. And to pick up the gun, my love, we are destined to teach these ones to be brave and never run away. Courage is birthed from the womb on the first light of day. Yeah, the day you were born, you came out perfect, never meant to be torn in silence. Never been so loud in the violence, never been so proud of our people. When we're fighting for a change, not afraid to lose it all. Despite all the rage, we are animals and we cannot be caged. Provoke us to fight, so we burn a little sage and write poetry. Wiser than the enemy will ever be. The minority and authority. Are you here to protect or arrest me? I can't tolerate the hate and I'm losing sleep. Can't breathe cause they're choking out a war in me. Immorality, yeah. Love letters to God. I wonder if she reads them or if they get lost in the stars, stars, and stars.
Yeah. Good morning, Katie. Katie, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes. Well, all of you wonderful light warriors out there, let's send some good energy to keep the call connected. She's in Mexico. So, yeah, welcome from Mexico, Katie.
Thank you so much. I loved your introduction. You're so amazing at what you do.
Oh, you know what? I love what I do, and I feel so blessed. I met this woman yesterday at a Daughters of the American Revolution, Sons of the American Revolution Veterans Day luncheon, and I just said, "Hello, how are you?" She said, "I am blessed," and I said, "You know what? May I borrow that? I really like that. Just to say that in that way it affirms, and I truly do feel blessed. The people that are in my circle and meeting people like you." So tell us about you. You have a very fascinating story. So while we've still got a really good connection, tell us your story, Miss Katie.
Yeah, sure. I'll go right into it.
Okay.
So I was born and raised in a really, really small town in Cape Breton.
Darn. Is she still there? Are you still there?
Nope, she's on.
Oh, rats. This is going to be fun. I'm just going to keep texting her to call back. Okay. Hey, Katie. I'm going to text you every time you drop, and then you can call right back into the studio, okay? Because he sees when you drop. Just watch for the text. She's going to call back in. This is fun. This is fun. You know, this is the beautiful part about meeting people from around the world and being able to talk with them, is that we also have some, lovely little connection issues. But hello. Are you there now, Katie?
Hi.
Yay, she's back.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that. I wish I would have set up my Skype, but we'll make this work.
This is all perfect. We're just going to send some good vibes for the technology angels.
All right.
So
well,
Cape Breton, you were born and raised in Cape Breton as far as we got.
Yes. And then I was born and raised in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. I was always a pretty unique child. I was ultra sensitive to all the energies around me. I'd often be outside as my means of escaping my chaotic household. I'd be communicating with the rocks, the waters, the plants, the trees, telepathically. And at the time, I didn't even know what I was doing until later on in life. So I had a very intimate connection with all the nature beings. And I realized, too, I had a very different way of, like, I could be speaking to someone or I could be reading a book, and I would be hyper-focused on the person or the book I'm reading. And it's like I'd have my blinders up, and I wouldn't be able, I could tune out all distractions. And I didn't realize till later on in life that was not everyone could do that. That was a pretty unique ability that I had. And so fast forward, at 12 years old, my father introduced me to surfing, in which I was instantly hooked. The ocean was my refuge. It was my sanctuary. I wanted to be in the water every single day on my surfboard. I guess you could say I was addicted to it. That's all I wanted to do. And I got into competing at a young age, and I was even a representative of Team Canada at the World Junior Surfing Championships around the age of 16. And so fast forward, I'm at 16, 17 years old, and my parents are pressuring me to choose a profession like most millennials in my generation, so I didn't really know myself or what I wanted to do, but what dropped into my consciousness was pilot. I was like, oh, that would be interesting. Like, I love traveling, and I was always interested in how the operations, how an aircraft actually stayed in the air. I was more intrigued by the aerodynamics than sorry, my neighbor is being super loud. I hope that music, you guys can't hear that.
That's okay.
Anyways.
We can't hear. We've got some Mexican music in the background. That's okay.
Yeah.
Adds to the ambiance. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
So the aerodynamics is kind of like surfing. It's about aerodynamics there too, isn't it?
Yeah. So I ended up going to pilot school. I had a full paid scholarship, which I was really blessed to receive. And I had my first year of school, there was a lot of things about this archaic technology that really bothered me, I guess you can say. The engine, the reverberation, the engines, the loud noise, I couldn't connect to the land. It just wasn't really my idea of flying and my memory of it. And at that time, I didn't really consciously grasp why I felt the way I did. And I actually had a slight fear to the technology. In my final year of school, I had about 4 fellow students who died in plane crashes
Oh, wow.
out of the entire history of the flight school. So, that was a big shocker to all of us. And I didn't really, I was really turned off by the dissonant frequencies of airports. They weren't really in alignment with nature's frequencies. And my neighbor growing up was a long-time airline pilot with Air Canada, and he was about 40 years old and looked like he was 60. So intuitively, I knew like these technologies weren't really the best for our health and well-being. So, I just decided to, after graduation, to kind of throw in the towel, take a break, and basically travel the world and surf and just work here and there. So I ended up doing that for many years. But what I told myself after I graduated was I'll return to flying once the technologies get a little bit more advanced and the engines are silent. And I remember telling myself that really clearly. I traveled. I've lived all over the world in my early 20s, just pursuing my passion, being in the ocean. And then in my mid-20s, I had a very traumatic experience that created this spiritual awakening. So ever since my mid-20s, I was on a pretty strict spiritual path, enhancing my 9 senses, working on my intuitive capabilities, because as most people probably don't know, you can only physically see 0.0035% of the light spectrum with our physical naked eyes. So there's a lot of unseen, in our daily lives, and we actually have 9 senses versus 5. And this is the way our ancestors always lived. We can communicate interdimensionally. We can communicate with different beings, we're all telepathic. We're all clairvoyant. We're all claircognizant, clear-knowing, clairsentient. So these are the abilities I was always very intuitive when I was a child, but at some point, because of the programming, indoctrination, mind control programming, you turn those abilities off. So I was coming back to myself, I guess you could say. And then in my early 30s, I was doing a lot of grid work with a spiritual group. We would do etheric ceremonies, and we were kind of
Can you explain what grid work is to some people? They may not know.
Yeah, so basically as above, so below, the meridian lines that we have in our physical body, like acupuncture points and things like that.
Right.
They're like the life waves of our body. It allows our light body energy field to anchor into our physical body. And that's basically all disease comes from blockages of these life waves. And so the earth has the same thing. The earth has her own meridian line system, and we call them ley lines. And so what the dark faction has done, and ignorant humans, they've systematically blocked these life waves through the deep underground military base systems, through damming of rivers. There's satanic monuments that basically are, the obelisk systems are basically inverted acupuncture needles on the ley lines that pinch the life force. So there's various different things that are basically clogging up the planet. So we would go into ceremony with our group and do energy clearings. Very similar to basically what your group does with, on the human level. We did it on the earth level. So, which was really amazing work. And I learned a lot through that process. I was working with a group of basically psychics, intuitives, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
And so there was a lady I met in that group, Julie. Julie was from Kamloops, Canada, British Columbia. And the minute she met me, she recognized me, and she's like, you are like a sister of mine, or you just feel like family. And she was just instantly drawn to me. And once the pandemic began, I was like, I always had a very clear knowing, I could project myself into future timelines and predict future events and things like that. And I could see exactly where this was going and how bad it was going to get in Canada before it did get bad and they closed the borders and stuff. So instantly I was like, you know what, I'm going to go, worst comes to worst, I'm going to go stand with the patriots in middle America. I'd rather, fight on my feet than die on my knees. So I basically packed up and went across the border at the beginning of everything. But before I did that, Julie was like, I need to meet you in person. Like, it's really important. I'm being guided to connect with you in person before you leave. And so I went over to see her in Kamloops. for a weekend. And during that weekend, we went to this national park called Wells Gray National Park, where there was this massive waterfall. She didn't know anything about my history, by the way. She didn't know I went to pilot school. She didn't know a whole lot about me in general, and that was the first time we were meeting in the physical. So we're standing next to this waterfall, and all of a sudden I see half the waterfall and the rock wall just break off and come back together. It was like a time warp.
Whoa.
And it was like time stopped, and it felt like I went underwater, like my ears went. There was just all of a sudden a big pressure shift in my ears. And I sometimes things just come out of my mouth. Like I guess my higher self just blurts things out. And I said to her, I'm like, wow, I felt like I did when I was young when they'd take me off planet. And then she went, you're here to pilot a plasma ship.
Wow.
And that came out of her mouth. And the minute she said that, I had full body psychic hits, just, reverberations through my body. And it was just like it's like my life flashed before my eyes, and everything that I experienced and how I acted in my childhood and through pilot school, everything made sense at that moment in time. And I just 200% knew, yes, you're right. That's 100% correct. Wow. And it was kind of like mission activated. And she actually had a vision of me. She saw me. So what they did take me up on the ship, and she saw me in a control room with these slanted screens, and I was inputting information, and there was a galactic commander standing to my right, and the galactic commander was basically saying, congratulations, you finished up your training. And so since that experience, it's been like go time. And a week after that, I reconnected with my star family, my Andromedan star family galactic contact, who was with me ever since I was a child. He called himself Auntie. And he's on one of the higher councils, which kind of oversees the Galactic Federation operations and stuff. So right now we're in we've been in a spiritual war for the past few years, and this is about the liberation of our planet through thousands of years of enslavement with the draconian groups and the Orion factions. So, oh
my God, you have so much information. I just wanted to ask a question. The Galactic Federation that you're talking about, can you elaborate on that? Because some people know, some of us know a little bit, others know a little bit more, and some people are like, what is she talking about? So what are you talking? So we've got that you see yourself on a plasma ship. What is a plasma ship first? What does that mean to the average person?
Yeah, definitely. So, I was going to get more into that.
Okay.
But so a plasma ship. So basically, this plasma ship that I'm here to resurrect. Time. The Galactics don't look at time like we've been programmed to look at time. It's more of a spiral. So what we're doing through this ascension process, we're coming back into resonance to meet these ancient technologies that have always been here, but they're in a slight higher density. They basically were left here during the time of Atlantis and Lemuria.
Okay.
So thousands and thousands, they're ancient technologies. And so time is like when you come into resonance with an event, that's when you experience it. So it's not, none of it's linear. That's just all a programming. So it's about frequency and magnetics. And so since we're going through this ascension process, we're increasing our frequency and our magnetics, and our resonance is getting higher and higher. So it's like the propeller of an airplane, that when it's spinning, you can't see it. So that's like the higher density beings, they're just the atoms are vibrating at a faster pace.
Ooh, I like that analogy. I really like that analogy. That's because you're exactly right. And so what you're saying is as we accelerate on this ascension path, we tap into some of our ancient knowing, our ancient wisdom, and our ancient abilities. So I have long been fascinated by architecture and the way things were built. They say, they built all these fascinating architectural structures with hand tools. Come on, really? So what you're saying is there were other technologies that we had. Okay, that just really, I'm getting a complete God chill for that, because I know that there had to have been things that have been lost in time with our architecture and other technology. So through magnetics and through other technologies, that's fascinating. Yeah, so our ancestors that were extremely advanced civilizations. We had free energy, crystal kingdoms. The pyramids were basically free energy generators that powered cities.
And so, there's basically ever since we came out of our mother's womb, we've been lied to, and under this heavy enslavement has become normalized, basically, that we don't even realize we're enslaved. So if you can, his story is his story. It's not actually true or accurate.
Right.
So as we go through this ascension process, we're remembering, because we are reincarnated immortal beings. Like this temporary flesh suit is just a small sliver of the experiences that we've had on and off planet. So we're getting all of our memories back as our DNA comes more online and more of our light body anchors into our physical body. And so that's what a download is. You're just, it's a memory. It's a parcel of memory that's anchoring into your consciousness. It's able to come through. Because we're literally walking light giants. Our energy fields are massive, and energy never is destroyed. And the memory is just an energetic imprint. So all information is never lost. And so these plasma ship technologies, they were operated in the time of Atlantis, and I was the last soul to operate the one that I'm specifically connected to. And so how the ships are designed, they're grown organically as an extension of the pilot's energy field. So every soul has a frequency signature. So the frequency signature of my soul is the key to operating this ship. And so we all have actually organic starship capabilities. Like we have, or you can say a Merkaba field. You can spin your Merkaba and you can literally go anywhere in the galaxy. But this is actually an extension of that. So it's like a artificial intelligent organic extension of our natural starship abilities. And so what I was shown was that the ship's in a slightly higher density. It's got a crystalline skin to it, and it's kind of like a time capsule. So it's going to bridge the timelines, because it's going to reconnect us to our past ancient history, and then it's going to project us into the future as well, because it's kind of like the story of Aquaman. If you've seen Aquaman, he goes out and seeks the King's Trident, and the King's Trident represents the merging of the underwater world with the surface world. Okay. And so it's going to merge and bring together not only humanity, but the elemental realms, the inner earth realms, and our galactic brothers and sisters. So my ship is one of 33 that's connected to an intergalactic mothership. There's about 20 of these ships that are Earth-based, and the rest are sprinkled throughout the solar system. We've confirmed 6 locations. So I don't work by myself. I work with a whole team of people.
Right.
So ever since my mission's activated, it's just been like bang, 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 bang. Like all the information's just been streaming in, and it's been nonstop. Because everything is like time-stamped in the mission. When you come into resonance with an event, that's when more information comes in. And so we've confirmed that there's a ship off the southern tip of Hawaii. That's the one I'm specifically connected to. There's 2 off the northeastern coast of the Galapagos. There's one in the Gulf of Mexico. There's one inland in the state of Texas that the dark faction actually hijacked and broke apart.
Oh, wow.
But we can repair it. All the ships that are basically, broken apart, there's definitely ways to repair. And then there's one between Vancouver Island and Vancouver in the Georgia Strait. And there's those are the ones that we've confirmed so far, and more is going to come through as we move along this journey. We've confirmed 2 other pilots. So there's 4 of the 33 are slightly larger ships, and they're based around the Pacific. Now, many of these ships are in ocean or the lakes, and the reason so the ocean has thousands of times more electricity and plasma than fresh water or the air. So a lot of the galactics, they actually prefer to use the waterways for navigational purposes than the sky. So right now we have thousands of ships in our skies assisting the liberation of humanity right now. And that ties into the Galactic Federation as well. And these are higher density, benevolent galactic races that are here. And in the oceans, there's even more that we can't see. So there's already intergalactic facilities underneath the waters the malevolent groups for the longest time have had intercoastal bases where, the submarines could go in and out, and also the dark fleet ships could go in and out. So we're basically going to, all the assets of these elite have been already seized by the Earth Alliance, which is a mix of Space Force, the Q team, which is the highest military clearance, and it's been a working group ever since, for many, many years, much longer before JFK. The assassination. I don't think he was actually truly assassinated, but so this benevolent group on behalf of humanity is working alongside the benevolent galactics, and that's considered the Earth Alliance. And so they've already seized all these assets, and what's going to happen in the future is that we're going to transmute these intergalactic hubs to, we're going to clear the energies, and we're going to basically reutilize them for benevolent hubs, and to house these advanced plasma ship technologies that our ancestors used.
So these different locations, those are all strategically placed for balance. Is that why they would be in different locales versus all of them being in one spot?
I think they were kind of sprinkled throughout. I intuitively, haven't asked that question specifically why they're kind of strewn about, but intuitively, I think it was we could foresee the events. We could foresee that what was going to happen in the future, and that we needed to place these ships in random locations to not only be for guardianship, but to keep them from dropping into the hands of the dark faction.
Sure.
So they were systematically placed in specific locations. And also many of the locations were ancient cities. So they're basically next to ancient cities. I know mine in off the southern tip of Hawaii, there's actually an active underwater city right next to it that I got confirmation on. So
and would that have been an ancient Lemurian time? Hawaii it really dates back to Lemuria. Is that correct?
Yes, Hawaii is basically the mountaintops of Lemuria.
Ah, okay.
So and so the Hawaiian people are descendants of the Maori, that is a sub-tribe of Lemuria.
See, when I was there a couple years ago, I felt so at home, and I have yet to go to Alaska. That's the last state on my list. But Hawaii, I love New Hampshire. This is home. But Hawaii, there was just this energy, and I do have my own recall of being in Lemuria. I know I'm an ancient soul, been around, and that's why we know each other. We're finding each other again, and it's wonderful. There's this, when you find part of a member of your soul family, there's just this kinship, this knowing, and Hawaii was just magical for me. And so as you are shifting the energy, I know that you're working also with the Hunas and shifting the energy. I know my team, we do a lot of work clearing each other. We've done a lot of work clearing the dumbs and going down into the inner earth where there was a lot of black goo on the walls. And of course, we go in without knowing anything, kind of like you. We go in with a quest for knowing. And as we go into these experiences, we're using our mind, traveling and clearing. And as we clear this goo, and we do a lot of work with what we call the archangels, but we also know that they're connected with the galactics. Anyway, as we've cleared, we've been able to see the walls, inner earth, become alive with beautiful crystalline energy. And then what's happened is we're starting to see more and more of these elementals, which I hadn't seen in all of my years. And I don't know whether it's because you and I and other people like us are doing so much to clear the energy, the inner earth energy, or if it's because myself and my team are raising our vibration to where we can see them. But we've been rescuing dragons and working with some giants that we've rescued, and the fairies are coming out now. It's pretty magical. And you talk to the average person about it, and they think that you're a wackadoo. But you know what? We really connect in this, and it's very real. So I can connect with what you're saying from a, and I love that you take it from that logical perspective too, that there is that bridge to the ancients, because having knowing of myself, of Lemuria, Atlantis, and being involved with the crystal room in Atlantis, it just makes sense when we look around at this beautiful architecture, these cathedrals, these amazing cathedrals that were built when people had hand tools, seriously, and they were built over a short period of time. They were used to harness energy. Is that correct? Or
yeah.
to harness, amplify, and disperse energy in different cathedrals had different resonances or churches or whatever, or these beautifully architectural aligned buildings were placed with pyramids, because there are pyramids throughout the earth, right? And many of them are just look as, there's as a pointed mountain. No, that was actually an ancient pyramid. But people used all these in like the star forts too. I've read about the star forts that are throughout. And again, how could those have been designed by a cave guy? Excuse me.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't equate. It doesn't equate. So you're
No,
bringing the
not at all.
ancient technology, you're reawakening it. I love that.
Yeah, and then, going back to my story growing up, the reason why I was so drawn to surfing is that surfing is actually the nearest thing on this planet to operating a plasma ship. You're harvesting plasma, and you're in this super hyper-focused brainwave state where time just slows down, and that's exactly what it's like when your consciousness hooks into these technologies.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
And then it's your technology or your vibrational frequency that is creating your plasma ship, that's drawing it, that is making it manifest, right? It's right now it's in your mind. Is that what you said?
No, it's here. Like, it's a real ship, but it's just in a slightly higher density,
okay.
and we're coming into resonance to meet it.
I see.
So the more I do focus my energy and intent on it, the more it's going to anchor in to this dimensional space I'll physically see it and meet it. And so, yeah, it's, because of the time, like, everything happens simultaneously. There's no such thing as past, present, or future. Everything happens at once. It all comes down to resonance.
That's one of those things that I still have a little bit of a challenge getting my head around, but it's not to say that, it's one of those things that we're constantly learning and growing. And, as I said, Azrael said, you can't close down and say no. You have to go, how can that be? Ask the questions and continue to learn. And yeah.
And that's why, when we do our inner work and there's a childhood trauma, that, a block in our field resulting from a past experience, you actually can project your consciousness to that past timeline and talk to that little version of you, and that will release that blockage. So you go back to the time that event was sourced, that blockage occurred, and so you're able to jump the timeline and project your consciousness really anywhere in time and space, and basically pick up the lost soul fractal that you left there.
Right. Yeah, that's why inner child work therapy, and I do a lot of that with hypnosis and other energy work and past lives, going back. It's not like who was I? It is more what kind of fractionation happened in my emotional body at the time, because our spirits are eternal, but there's the emotional body that gets triggered. So when you go back and you do a healing for a past life, you're gaining the knowledge that you can apply in this knowledge. So what you're saying is that past life, we are reliving the similar situations in this life, and then we have an opportunity to shift the energy based on the knowing from the past. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I know I was also talking about the Hunas. I have since become a Huna, but I was with you in Vegas, at the Truth Tour in Vegas, and I was one of the 20 people that did a ceremony in Vegas, but you were really involved in that, and it was fascinating to me. But could you tell us a little bit more about that? That was one of those times where you, the whole group, the team, was using ancient Lemurian Mayan type of energy to Huna energy to shift the energy in the ground.
Yeah, I can definitely go into that. So Huna basically just means keeper of the light. So everything post Atlantis was distorted energy. That's when, the dark faction came in and infiltrated. And as we birth through the Stargate system, when we reincarnate on this planet, we're basically imprinted with these distorted light codes. And so what Huna does is Huna is our Maori elder, and he was raised in the ancient traditional Maori mystery schools. So he was ingrained with that and didn't have actually a whole lot of indoctrination and programming. He was really blessed to have been raised in that Lemurian culture. And so what he's been guided to do is he's been given the tools to clear this overlay in our field, these distorted codes, and basically restore your field back to its blueprint, that the way you're prior to distorted light, and so it brings you closer to your soul essence. And with the Huna work, he's taught us how to do ceremony on the land with precision. So we call them cracking ceremonies. Basically, we clear. So with the ley line system, a lot of these satanic groups, they've put trauma-based energetics over the land, which is kind of like gunk on an energy level, and it really clogs up these lifeways.
Art, she dropped again. Oh, rats, she dropped. Of course, the minute that Art walks away, she drops. Art, you need to stay here just to hold our energy. Yeah. It's okay. I'm learning a lot. I know a lot, or I'm always learning. But it makes sense because she's talking about the gunk on the land, and that's what we're finding from a lot of these rituals and the sorcery that happens. The sorcery on our planet is very, very real, and they use, as Katie was saying, pain-based energy. And it interferes in so many ways. So we're operating, our whole world right now is operating based on a lot of fear-based energy from a lot of sorcery that has been going on, and people are blind to it. And part of what we're needing to do is help people just to at least acknowledge that this is real. These people have been doing this for a long time. And our team serves to help remove and release. We're finding a lot of these, I just want to call them sorcerers or sorceresses. And I think she's back now. Are you there, Katie?
I'm here, yeah.
Oh, good. I'm just filling the void until we get you back.
Awesome. Okay. So, so I was invited on this truth tour, which was a group that was traveling around the U.S., hitting up 22 cities in 30 days. It was absolutely amazing. A group of spiritually minded patriots, mega influencers, people from all different walks of life coming together and sharing truth. So it was really powerful. You were there as well. And so the final event in Vegas, I was invited to, and as I was tuning into the grid, I was like, oh, it's still very gridlocked. And I was being guided to do a ceremony there. Because I oftentimes, I live my life by the seat of my pants, and Spirit usually tells me where to go like a week before, and then I'm guided to, all these things kind of fall into place. But sometimes I'm guided to go to places, and I have no idea why until later on. But, so I get to Vegas, and prior to that, I got called in. So the Hunas is a whole community of basically ancient Lemurian souls. Okay. The big Huna, Mautataki, who's our Maori elder, has brought us all together, which I'm so grateful for him for doing that. But we, like I said, I don't work by myself. I work as a unit, not only with the Hunas, but other groups of souls as well. And so we're a massive family behind the scenes. And so I call up 5 of the Hunas. I'm like, I'm going to Vegas. I'll be here. You guys should come in as well. The grid is very gridlocked, and we should be doing ceremony there. and everyone on a dime booked their flights and came into Vegas. It was amazing. Everyone just dropped the ball and basically came to meet me. And so as I was tuning into the underground military, so all of downtown Las Vegas is hollowed out underneath. There's massive dumb systems that go all the way to Reno and that spread throughout the U.S. But what I was being remotely shown is that they were still very active, that they haven't quite hit those areas yet in terms of the military operation and clearing out the facilities. And as I was tuning into things the first 2 days, I was getting the Galactic Alliance, the Earth Alliance, the Galactics from the Earth Alliance communicating with me and coming through my heart space. And they were saying, we're basically preparing to flush the dumps, and we need you guys to do this cracking ceremony on the surface. And what the ceremony does is it clears any of this satanic trauma-based energies, the overlay, and it restores the surface back to its original blueprint. And so it opens up the field to allow the higher fractals to come in. And so, ironically, where we were staying for the Truth Tour was right next to the Strat, the Strat Hotel. And the Strat's a massive obelisk system that connects to all the other, connects into the stadium ley lines. So the sports stadiums are satanic hubs as well. And also the Facebook data hubs and the Dell headquarters. So there's a number of different things that all connect and create this grid overlay. And so the Strat, we decided to do the ceremony obviously there. And what we do is we walked counterclockwise around it, and we did a protocol that Huna taught us. And we gathered as many people who wanted to join in. We did it on a Sunday morning. And the minute we walked out the doors, there was a rainbow. And it was raining in downtown Las Vegas. And it was just rained for like about a minute, and there was a huge mothership right outside as well. There were ships the whole weekend, basically, because when we do these ceremonies, we don't work by ourselves. We call in the ancestors, the elemental realms to assist, and the galactic.
Yes.
And basically, they can't assist without our free will, so we have to request their assistance.
Absolutely. We have to ask. Our guides have said the same thing time and again. They're always there for us. We must ask. That's the hardest thing for human egos to get past. Oh, I can do this myself. No. We don't do anything ourselves. So all of this amazing work is done through the team. As a team, the work is done through us. Yeah, I love that.
And that's why, our indigenous ancestors, why ceremony was so important, because it merged all of these different forms of consciousness and they worked together. And so it was extremely, extremely powerful. And so while we were doing the ceremony, we were getting multiple confirmations. Like there's magic that happens, and we're getting, signs from the animals. We're getting, one lady was walking in the opposite direction of us, and she had a inverted pentagram satanic shirt on. Like you get all these signs dropped in, and I realized that we were, throughout the ceremony in the weekend, I realized we were working in congruence with not only the ships in the skies, but the booths underground. There was 2 buildings near the hotel that were on fire that weekend, and it was just like a quick. It was a very odd, because the fire was there, and then it was gone. It was only like 10, 20 minutes of a contained fire. And I was psychically picking up, Rod to God, like they were, this was part of the operation. And I believe those were dumb entrances.
There was a fire at Hoover Dam. Wasn't there a fire at Hoover Dam that same weekend, too? And yes. So that was...
Yeah, there was an explosion of some sort. So so I'm getting confirmation through my communication channels that the booths are underneath us working and preparing to flush these dumb systems as we're doing the ceremony. Because when we do these ceremonies and it clears the surface, a lot of it, so there is still negative ET fractions on this planet, but the thing is they can't come and they can't leave this atmosphere. It's completely sealed off and protected. So we have thousands of ships assisting us right now. And so what they did is they sealed off certain sections of the dome, so like they can't escape. And they can only target certain portions on a global level at a time. So it's a massive operation that takes time. And so it's all systematic. And so when we do this clearing on the surface, it makes it extremely hard for these negative factions to manifest their dark portals to escape.
Mm-hmm.
So they use black plasma, which is basically the inversion of the natural white plasma that you see.
That's interesting, because what we see is we just, in our own simplistic vernacular, we call it black goo, but that's exactly right. That's what we see coating the walls and that's what we encounter when we go in our visions. We're typically rescuing the spirits of those that have been used, and they've locked the spirits in the bricks or in the walls of in these tunnels where the spirits were used in sacrifice. And
there's actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's what our team has been doing. Is because our mission is to rescue the lost souls, and so we do a lot with the spirits that have been used and abused. So we're not rescuing the real physical people or children, but the spirits of that have been sacrificed. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, and there's actually video footage of webcams where these black portals are manifesting, and you see the ship trying to escape out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's amazing. There's one in Nanaimo, and they were clearing and flushing the dump systems there. And so, we got confirmation that was happening, and then after we left Vegas, like 3 days later, we get word that the downtown strip was fully flooded.
Flooded, yes.
So,
there was,
there
was a huge downpour, a rainstorm that came from nowhere. I want to actually go back to that, being a part of that group where we were walking, just walking and chanting and enjoying and basically sending love from our hearts as we circled. And we all looked, at one point, I actually have a picture of it. We were looking up and noticing the cloaked ships that were all around us. But at one point, there was a cloud formation that looked like a calling wolf. It was magical. Do you remember that? I actually have a picture of it where the wolf is...
I think I do. I think Roger had grabbed a picture too.
And then Lisa was with me, and Lisa was just so excited. She had never been to Vegas before, and and one of the beautiful things was the hotel we stayed at was a reclaimed hotel that didn't have the gambling in it. But that night we wanted to go to to see a show. So lo and behold, the show we decided to go to was at the Strand. And we walked out again, and that night there was a double rainbow over the Strand. We were like, what? It was hardly any rain, but there was this, this rainbow again. And we were like, this is crazy. And I have to tell you that when we were there, we were standing in line for this show, which was Illuminate, which was all kinds of fun. It was lovely. But I'm sitting here in the middle of this, this spire and thinking, oh my gosh, I need some protection. And I hear this little voice say, I got you. And I'm like, what was that? I mean, that doesn't sound like Archangel Michael. I talk with him all the time. And he's got a sense of humor, but this was playful. And so later I realized that I had picked up a little inner earth dragon. It just full of, right there in that. And he still was there, and he brings me joy and levity and laughter and just that mirth, just that playfulness in life that we lose when we get so serious. We've got to have the playfulness, and that's what we're releasing as we're clearing the energy, as we're releasing the playfulness of these sprightly energies that are in our earth.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the elemental realms want to be acknowledged again.
Yes.
And they're coming back full force. I actually have a physical picture of a water dragon.
Ooh.
That was I was doing a water weaving ceremony at the southern tip of Hawaii, and he came up right in the wave space.
Oh wow. Yeah. That is so awesome. Yeah. You also mentioned go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say another thing with the oceans too is the oceans are at a higher frequency than the land or the air.
Sure.
So in terms of the fifth dimensional beings, we're going to start physically seeing them first in the oceans before anywhere else with our naked eye.
Wow. I love what you said about the feathers. What you were telling about feathers make the connection.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So a lot of the indigenous tribes, the feathered bonnets that the chiefs would wear, a lot of the indigenous tribes really understood these 9 senses and how they utilized them and taught their children how to enhance them from a very young age. And so birds, like the migratory birds, the feathers enhance telepathic abilities. And so when a Canadian goose loses its flock, it can relocate it many, many miles away and re-intercept. And so the chiefs knew about this, and so they wore these feathered bonnets that would basically broadcast, what they wanted to telepathically send to their tribe, and they didn't even really have to open their mouths.
Oh my goodness, Katie, we're at the end of the hour. You know what? We're going to have to send telepathically energy to everyone, thanking you for being on and for the work you're doing. And I'll put it in the link where people can find you. But quickly, one second, how do people find you?
They can find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is KatieRaine, Raine.
Okay.
And they can look me up there.
And I'll put that on our channel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Mexico. And we will chat very, very soon. Love you.
Thank you. Love you. Love you to everyone who's listening. Thank you so much. Take care.
Until next time, everyone, look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day. God bless.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.